I can still recall the exact second the world tilted. Thursday, October 24th, 2025, 8:47 p.m. The kitchen faucet dripped, plink, 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 into the stainless steel sink as I scrubbed the last carbonara plate. Garlic and pancetta lingered thick in the warm air. My phone buzzed with a Google Calendar notification. Girls' night, out till late, entered in Sarah's precise font just 2 hours earlier. No mention at breakfast, no casual comment while she packed Jack's soccer bag. The entry simply appeared, like an afterthought. 12 years married. I was 41, senior structural engineer at Harper & Klein, the one colleagues called when a cantilever seemed mathematically impossible. Sarah, 39, marketing coordinator at the Horizon nonprofit, could charm a room full of donors and still remember every teacher's name at parent-teacher conferences. Emily, 10, collected pressed leaves and wrote poetry in tiny notebooks. Jack, 7, built sprawling Lego cities across the living room rug, woe to anyone who disturbed them. The house smelled of the cedar flooring we installed previous spring, mixed with the faint vanilla candle Sarah lit when she felt nostalgic. That evening the flame burned low, casting long shadows across the quartz island. She appeared in the doorway wearing the black wrap dress, the one with the deep neckline she usually saved for anniversaries. Lipstick a shade darker than normal. Hair swept into a loose knot that exposed the delicate curve of her neck. "Won't wait up," she said, brushing a quick kiss against my cheek. Her lips felt cool, almost absent. Her perfume, jasmine laced with something sharper, newer, trailed behind her like smoke. I watched from the porch as her silver SUV reversed down the driveway, headlights slicing through the low mist that clung to the maple trees. Taillights shrank, then disappeared around the bend of Maplewood Lane. Inside, silence pressed against my ears. Emily's bedroom door stood ajar, soft Debussy piano drifted out, her current obsession. Jack snored faintly down the hall. I returned to the island, opened the calendar again. The entry stared back, innocuous yet somehow heavy. I scrolled backward through the last month. 3 more girls' nights in 6 weeks, unusually frequent. Each at late, each ending after midnight. I poured tap water into a glass and watched bubbles rise and burst. My reflection in the dark window looked older than I remembered, deeper crow's feet, shoulders slightly rounded. I told myself it was nothing. Work stress. Seasonal slump. But the unease settled low in my gut, a stone too heavy to ignore. Around 1:12 a.m. the garage door rumbled. Keys jingled softly. Sarah slipped inside barefoot, heels dangling from 2 fingers. Hair looser now, strands clinging to her slightly damp forehead. She didn't notice me sitting motionless on the sectional in the unlit living room. She paused in the hallway, shoulders dropping as though releasing a breath held for hours. A small sound, half sigh, half shudder, escaped before she climbed the stairs. The bedroom door latched with a quiet click. Morning arrived gray and damp. Sarah moved through the routine with practiced ease, oatmeal simmering, lunches zipped into bright bags, ponytail swinging as she kissed the kids goodbye. When I asked about the night she offered the same small smile, eyes sliding past mine to the clock above the stove. Fun. Loud music. Too many cocktails. A tiny pause. You should come next time. Maybe, I said, forcing lightness. She left for work. I stood at the sink again, watching suds swirl down the drain, feeling the first real thread of doubt weave itself into something firmer. Something had changed. And whatever it was, she didn't want me to see it. In these opening moments, the husband's subtle disquiet reflects classic attachment anxiety and early denial. Minor inconsistencies in routine activate hypervigilance as a primitive defense against anticipated loss. Sarah's microbehaviors, cool kiss, silenced notifications, distracted smile, signal emotional withdrawal, likely rooted in guilt and compartmentalization. She separates her home identity from her secret one to minimize cognitive dissonance. His choice to observe rather than confront reveals a long-standing pattern of conflict avoidance, preserving short-term stability at the cost of deepening distance. This sets a cause-effect chain in motion. Unaddressed micro-betrayals erode trust incrementally, transforming ordinary intimacy into a breeding ground for suspicion and foreshadowing the inevitable collision when concrete evidence surfaces. The weeks folded into one another with deceptive normalcy. Morning still followed the same sequence: coffee grinder whining, toaster popping, Jack's endless questions about dinosaurs. Yet the texture of those moments had subtly shifted, sharper edges, thinner warmth. Sarah woke earlier now. I'd find her at the kitchen table scrolling her phone before the kids stirred, screen glow painting blue shadows beneath her eyes. When I leaned to kiss her temple, she tilted her head away, just a fraction, enough to register. Her shampoo had changed to coconut, the old vanilla bottle sat half full and forgotten on the shower edge. Work consumed me, load calculations for a new riverfront tower, but my mind kept drifting. Texts returned hours late, in a meeting. Phone died. When I asked about her day, she offered polished bullet points: grant proposal, donor lunch, team brainstorming, rehearsed, efficient. New details accumulated like sediment. A gym membership she never used before, stress relief. Black lace lingerie in the laundry, tags removed. Faint cigarette smoke on her coat some evenings, she blamed a colleague who chain-smoked outside the office. Phone always face down, screen locked faster than usual. New 4-digit passcode on her laptop, IT policy. One Tuesday she announced a late client dinner. Returned at 11:40 p.m., cheeks flushed, eyes unusually bright. She kissed me deeply in the hallway, unexpected, hungry. We ended up in bed, her hands were urgent, almost frantic. Afterward she curled against me and cried without explanation. Just overwhelmed, she murmured when I asked. I held her, stroking her back, convincing myself the passion was reconnection, not compensation. Red herring number 1, Mark Reynolds, senior graphic designer at her nonprofit. He appeared more frequently in stories. Mark's presentation killed today, Mark brought donuts. I remembered him from the summer picnic, easy laugh, no wedding ring anymore. When I asked casually if he was single, she shrugged, divorced last year. Nice guy. My stomach tightened, I pushed the feeling down. Finances offered another thread. 3 ATM withdrawals in 2 weeks, $180, $220, $150, none matching our usual patterns. When I asked, she said new tires and a birthday gift for her mother. But the car still had last year's tires. I logged into the joint account, recurring transfers to E. Thompson. A quick search revealed nothing obvious, no LinkedIn, no obvious social media. Cousin? Old college friend? I filed it away. The children began mirroring the tension in small, heartbreaking ways. Emily stopped playing piano after dinner. Instead she sat cross-legged on her bed writing furiously in a notebook she hid when I entered the room. Jack developed a new habit, clinging to my leg whenever Sarah left, asking, "When is mommy coming back?" as though she might vanish permanently. One Saturday she claimed a team-building retreat in the hills. Left at 8:15 a.m., returned at 6:40 p.m. smelling of pine, red wine, and a cologne that wasn't mine. She showered immediately. When she climbed into bed she reached for me again, fierce, almost pleading. I responded mechanically, mind elsewhere. Later, in the dark, her phone lit up on the nightstand. Preview visible for 2 seconds before it dimmed. Can't stop thinking about tonight. Same place Tuesday. M. I lay rigid until dawn, listening to her slow, even breathing, while my pulse hammered against my ribs like a trapped animal. The husband's central mistake was repeated denial, rationalizing accumulating red flags, phone secrecy, unexplained expenses, guilt-driven passion, as benign rather than confronting them early, revealing deep attachment to the illusion of marital stability and fear of irreversible conflict. Sarah's mistake lay in incremental deception and compartmentalization, which deepened her guilt while preventing authentic communication. These errors compounded, his passivity allowed her secrecy to flourish, her compensatory affection created false hope and delayed discovery. The lesson, visible only in hindsight, is clear: unaddressed microbetrayals accrue emotional debt, trust demands proactive curiosity rather than blind faith, ignoring intuition invites catastrophic pain. Suspicion stopped being a visitor and became a resident. It shadowed me through every room, tinted every conversation. Tuesday and Thursday evenings became predictable: late strategy session, donor follow-up drinks. She returned flushed, makeup smudged at the corners, hair mussed as though raked by impatient fingers. I suggested location sharing, just in case. She agreed, after a long pause, and then forgot to enable it half the time. Her brother Tom began calling more often. Casual check-ins turned pointed: "You guys doing okay?" Sarah seems distracted. One weekend he drove 4 hours unannounced, took her for a long walk in the park. I watched from the kitchen window as they sat on a bench, heads close. When they returned, he avoided my eyes. Financial oddities multiplied. Another $300 transfer to E. Thompson. A $420 charge at Cedar Grove Inn, 2 towns away, regional marketing conference, she explained. No conference appeared on her work calendar. I searched the hotel, boutique, romantic, fireplaces in every suite. I started a private journal in a password-protected notes app. Entries grew longer. October 29th, faint hickey under concealer on left collarbone. November 3rd, new gold hoop earrings, not from me. November 7th, came home with damp hair at 1 a.m., said she got caught in rain. No rain that night. One evening her laptop remained open on the dining table. An EL subject line caught my eye before I forced myself to look away, last night still playing in my head. I shut the lid, heart slamming. I asked about Mark again over dinner. "He's just a coworker," she snapped, fork clattering against the plate. Why the interrogation lately? Defensiveness crackled in her voice like static. Emily's teacher emailed. Emily seems withdrawn. She drew a picture of a house split in two. I scheduled a parent conference. Jack started wetting the bed again, first time in 4 years. I tailed her once. Watched her park at a coffee shop on Elm, meet a tall man with salt and pepper hair. They hugged, friendly, not intimate. Relief crashed through me, followed by hot shame. False alarm. But doubt metastasized. New perfume, oud and amber, heavy. Lipstick stains on coffee cups she didn't finish. A hotel key card once slipped from her purse and clattered to the floor. She snatched it up, laughing nervously. Old one from last conference. Then the loft party invitation. Client appreciation event. Downtown. Semi-formal. She spent 90 minutes getting ready, curls, smoky eyes, strappy heels. Kissed the kids goodbye, kissed me last, brief, perfunctory. I waited 20 minutes, then drove. Parked a block away. Watched her climb the steps of a converted warehouse, pause at the door. A man opened it, mid-40s, athletic build, dark sweater. She stepped into his arms. The embrace lasted 4 heartbeats too long. They disappeared inside. I sat in the car for 2 hours and 17 minutes, heater off, windows fogging, listening to my own ragged breathing. When she returned home at 1:50 a.m. she smelled of gin, cedar smoke, and him. The husband expected a stable, loving marriage built on shared history and routines, but reality revealed a widening chasm of secrecy and emotional detachment. His hope that small lies were innocent clashed violently with mounting evidence, forcing an awakening from denial to painful clarity. Sarah's facade of normalcy contrasted sharply with her hidden excitement and guilt, illustrating how betrayal thrives in the gap between projected image and private truth. This contrast intensified his grief, mourning not just the affair, but the illusion of mutual investment, underscoring how shattered expectations accelerate emotional transformation from trust to profound disillusionment. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I needed certainty, not suspicion. I borrowed a friend's old voice recorder and hid it in her car. Early recordings yielded nothing useful: work calls, kid pickups. Then one captured her voice, soft and intimate. "I know it's risky, but I can't stop thinking about you." Pause. "Yes, next Tuesday." I hired a discreet private investigator, hated myself for it, but needed facts. 2 weeks later the report arrived, photos of Sarah and a man, mid-40s, fit, dark hair, at a park, kissing. Then entering his apartment building. Mailbox name: Ethan Reynolds. Not Mark. Ethan. E. Thompson. Earlier transfers had been to E. Thompson, perhaps a misread name or different account. The PI confirmed. Emotional connection began 6 months earlier as work friend support during her most stressful project. Turned physical 3 months ago. Started deepening right around the time I withdrew emotionally after losing a major promotion bid, my own secret guilt, a wound I never fully shared. Secondary twist: Sarah had known about my emotional flirtation at work years earlier, never physical, but too close. I confessed and ended it. She used it internally to justify her actions. He did it first, even though I had come clean. Red herring number 3, Tom knew. He'd been protecting her, believing she was unhappy and that I was distant. He'd loaned her money for what she called counseling, actually hotel stays and gifts. I confronted Tom first, in his driveway after work. "She's seeing someone." He paled. "She told me you were checked out." I thought I was helping her. Moral conflict he had enabled without realizing the full scope. Setback: when I showed Sarah the photos she denied at first. Friendship: "You're paranoid." Then tears. "It just happened." More emerged in fragments. Ethan was married too. Double betrayal. Texts the PI recovered showed weekend plans, lies about girls' trips. I installed tracking software, crossing ethical lines I once swore I wouldn't. Saw messages: "Divorce him. We can be together." The pressure built. Sleepless nights. Appetite gone. I lost 15 pounds. Snapped at the kids once. Emily cried. Jack hid in his room. I held it together for them. Then the undeniable proof, a hotel receipt in her purse from the same night as the party. And a new flash on her locked phone screen: "Can't wait to wake up next to you again." My world narrowed to a pinprick. The relationship collapsed in distinct stages: pre-affair emotional distance, escalating secrecy, discovery of physical betrayal, irreversible breach, and prolonged avoidance of confrontation, final nail. The definitive point of no return arrived with concrete proof: the photos, messages, hotel receipts, shifting the husband from suspicion to irreversible certainty. Each stage amplified psychological pressure. His hypervigilance led to isolation, her guilt fueled defensiveness. Once trust shattered beyond repair, the convergence of subplots, brother's complicity, children's distress, husband's own past guilt, made retreat impossible, marking the irreversible pivot toward dissolution. I waited until the kids were at school. Saturday morning, March 2026. Sunlight slanting through the blinds, kitchen smelling of fresh coffee. I laid the photos, printouts, and receipts on the table in a neat row. Sarah rose in the doorway. "What is this?" "The truth," I said quietly. "Ethan. 6 months. The lies." She sank into a chair, face crumpling. Silence stretched, thick and suffocating. "Why?" My voice cracked on the single word. She whispered, I felt invisible. "You were always working, distant after the promotion fell through." Ethan listened. Made me feel wanted. Rage, then sorrow. I was distant because I was hurting. "But I never betrayed you." Tears streamed down her face. "I know. I hate myself for this." The conversation lasted hours, accusations, defenses, long silences. She admitted it began emotional, turned physical. No immediate plan to leave me, yet. She said she loved the family, loved our life. But the words felt hollow against the evidence. I asked about the children. "They'll be devastated." She nodded, broken. "I never wanted this for them." The confrontation rippled outward. Emily overheard part of it, asked why Mommy was crying so much. Jack clung to me that evening, asking if we were getting a divorce like Tyler's parents. I lied softly, "We're just talking, buddy." Tom called the next day, apologetic, ashamed. "I should have told you. I thought I was protecting her." Ethan texted Sarah repeatedly, she blocked him in front of me. Mood swings followed, rage 1 minute, despair the next. I considered forgiveness, but every memory stung anew, the perfume, the late nights, the lies told to our children's faces. We tried one therapy session. She cried, I stayed mostly silent. Trust was gone. Fear and betrayal drove the husband's measured confrontation, channeling rage into controlled presentation of evidence rather than explosion, reflecting pride, self-preservation, and a final attempt at dignity. Sarah's guilt manifested in tearful admissions and self-loathing. Her actions, lies, affair, stemmed from unmet emotional needs and retrospective justification via his past distance. Jealousy and grief shaped his post-confrontation withdrawal, while her defensiveness blocked meaningful repair. These emotions directly precipitated irreversible decisions, physical separation, firm boundaries. The clash demonstrated how unprocessed pain, his shame-induced retreat, her feelings of invisibility, erupts into destructive choices, with consequences reinforcing isolation and grief. Divorce finalized 7 months later, joint legal and physical custody, equitable division. We sold the cedar-scented house. I bought a modest 2-bedroom near the river. Mornings are quieter now. No more dripping faucet, no more vanilla candles. Just coffee brewing and birds outside the window. Sarah lives in a bright loft downtown. The kids adapt. Emily's poetry now turns toward nature and renewal. Jack's Lego cities include sturdy bridges instead of collapsing towers. Co-parenting is civil, sometimes warm. We attend soccer games together, sit on separate bleachers, share small updates about school projects. Therapy, individual for me, occasional joint sessions for the children's sake, peeled back layers. I admitted my emotional retreat after the failed promotion. Shame had made me withdraw, creating the exact vacuum she later filled. She confessed lifelong patterns of seeking external validation to quiet deep insecurity. The affair began as understanding friendship. During her most stressful campaign, intimacy followed when loneliness became unbearable. No villain, no hero, just 2 flawed people who stopped talking until the silence became betrayal. I rebuilt slowly. Dawn runs along the river trail. Coffee with old college friends I'd neglected. A cautious first date that ended in laughter instead of expectation. Empowerment arrived in fragments, choosing my own furniture, cooking meals the kids requested, realizing solitude could feel peaceful rather than lonely. One crisp March afternoon in 2026, watching Emily score a goal and Jack cheer wildly from the sidelines, Sarah caught my eye across the field. We shared a small, sad smile, acknowledgement of shared history, shared pain, shared children. No anger remained. Just quiet acceptance. Recent studies show that 20 to 25% of long-term marriages encounter infidelity at some point. I became part of that statistic, then part of the smaller group that survives it, not by staying married, but by choosing to rebuild a different life. The deepest lesson wasn't about forgiveness or revenge, it was about agency. When trust collapses, you discover, slowly, painfully, that you can still decide who you become afterward. For the first time in many years, my days belong to me. And that freedom, hard-won and bittersweet, feels like the truest home I've ever known. Across the narrative arc, betrayal emerges as a slow fracture, rooted in unmet emotional needs, conflict avoidance, and denial, culminating in shattering discovery and eventual release. The husband's journey from suspicion to empowerment illustrates post-betrayal growth, moving through trauma, hypervigilance, grief, self-doubt, toward resilience via self-reflection, boundary setting, and acceptance of personal agency. Sarah's motivations, emotional hunger, guilt-driven justification, highlight attachment wounds and the destructive power of compartmentalization. Cumulative lessons center on trust's fragility, the danger of unvoiced resentments, and the possibility of rebirth after loss. Emotional closure arrives not through forgiveness, but through acceptance. Betrayal destroys illusions, but surviving it rebuilds authenticity. While pain reshapes us, it need not define us forever.